For those of you waiting patiently, like myself, for the post expiration move, well, we're still waiting. We've been chopping for 3.5 days going into today's session. We can't break out the new all time highs. And the bulls, they're just making their bids in the lower 5,500 handle. It's just rotation. They sell stuff, but they buy other stuff. We got to figure out what that is. Walgreens is Walgreens. We'll talk about some other earnings report. No one's wearing jeans anymore, I guess. Kenny hit the bid Glick at 8:35. It's Thursday on Pre-Market Prep.
Welcome to Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep.
This is a volatile puppy here.
It's all about execution styles and strategies.
All right, good morning, folks. Just slightly in the red here, 8.5 handles. Blame it on Micron. Still haven't seen that closing price on the upside and haven't penetrated that support below. We'll see what happens today. The buck down 14 cents at 105.58. TLT, a little bit of a drag on the market, down 25 cents, 92.90. Crude working its way through the 80 handle, up 56 cents, 81.46. Oh, some nice consolidation there. Upper right chart. We'll keep an eye on that. Gold up 1580, forming support just above 2300. That's just under 2330. Silver flat 29.28. Bitcoin up 850 here at 61,790. Dennis, we'll bring in Dennis here. 4 days. We're going into the fourth day here past the expiration. And it's just a grinder, Dennis. These are some choppy overnight and intraday markets. What's going to shake us out of the doldrums?
I think, and bring AB into this conversation here too, it's just the S&P. Whenever they sell off one sector, they just automatically go and buy the other sector. And the rotation keeps us from really rallying hard, and the rotation keeps us from really selling off hard. You know, I was trying to be bearish yesterday. You think like this could be a day that we really sell off. We're losing a little bit of leadership here. Doesn't happen. They just buy other stocks to rotate us back up here again. I mean, overnight trading here, Micron disappoints, which we'll get to their specific details in a second here. AI trade starts getting hit, but, you know, they're finding other stocks to buy here again this morning. Jug stocks, trading a little bit higher despite the WBA news, which we'll get to here in a second. Consumer staples look okay. I mean, they find pockets of green and even rotating within the indexes itself, where you got LRCX trading up 20 bucks here this morning. Micron's down, LRCX up, AMAT trading way up as well, up $5. So there's rotation even within the index. Rotation continues to keep the markets elevated, and it's hard to fight rotation if you're a bear.
And IWM just stuck. Just no one cares. Just hanging out
Nobody
here
cares.
at 200. The rotation is, that's consolidation here. I will, one thing on the monthly charts, if you want to make a bullish case here, you are working on two higher monthly lows, but still the IWM stock. But AB there in the dark, how are you doing on this Thursday morning?
I'm doing well, Joel. It is, we've finally got some big earnings to talk about this week. We're starting to get back into that time of the year, or that earnings season. So let's hop into Micron, biggest earnings report we have to discuss this morning. So Micron reported yesterday after the bell. EPS came in at 62 cents, which beat the 49-cent estimate. Sales came in at $6.8 billion, which beat the $6.63 billion estimate. In line Q4 guidance, so didn't really raise, but wasn't the strongest, and the bar was a little bit high here for Micron stock, trading down about 6% this morning.
Yeah, it's off the lows. They can't help themselves. The buy the dippers just emerge here. 128, I believe, was the low print.
27.57. 27.57.
And the expected move, I think, was $18, so not far from the expected move. Remember, if you are trading these earnings, always know where the expected move is. Don't go like, if you're just like ignoring that and going, I just got to get out. It's down 16. I just got to get out. Well, you're getting close to that expected move. That's an obvious area for where to bounce. Bounced ahead of it. I don't know what to say. The earnings were fine here. It's just expectations are simply too high. So, the stock has had, it was $80 back in February, or 142. We talked about this yesterday. Just expectations high. And, it's a cyclical business, and people forget about the cyclicality of chips. This, is obviously an issue for not just Micron, but other chips as well. But again, when Micron loses, they find other things to buy. And that's why I was like pointing out LRCX and Applied Materials going up this morning. So rotation even within chips themselves. So it's just the rotation just keeps us elevated here. Micron is hitting, NVIDIA is down here this morning, obviously, as well. The AI trade's a little bit under pressure here as well, too. I still think we put in a short-term top in the AI trade. I said it yesterday. I tweeted it yesterday. I think, there's a time to take profits, and I think the time on the AI stocks was into yesterday's rally where we saw Micron overnight go up to 145, 146.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be pretty happy if you sold that now. Does that mean, that they're thrown in the towel and things tanking? The buy the dip trade is still there on AI, and I don't think the AI trade is over. There's a big difference between a short-term top and the all-time long-term highs. I think AI in the long run eventually goes higher. I just think it's going to continue to grow. That's good for NVIDIA. It's good for Micron. It's good for all these companies. So at a certain point in time, you probably want to buy the dips on these. But it's just been such a run. It's just such a crowded trade. It's time to, take out, take out some of the, holders that, are in here just for the momentum, knock them out. Let's bring some of these stocks back down so that they're starting to get a little bit more reasonable in their valuation again.
You want that report? Did you give the report, AB?
The report here, AB.
Sorry, which report?
Micron.
I think you did. Did you?
Yeah, I read the numbers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. On the charts, I mean, it went to an area where you had one daily low. You had one daily low at this area, 127.65 in the pre-market. You had a quick spike there to, 127.37. I think I like this area here. I mean, you had three lows at the 130 area. The pre-market low coincides with the daily low. So I think if this is going to be the buy the dip, you're already $6 above that. I think you find support here over the, if this is just a one-off, we're going to just buy this thing right back up. I think you find support right in this area over the next couple days and then turn up. Back on the upside, I'm sure a lot of people that are buying the dip here will have a target on the upside of the bottom of yesterday's range, 139.54. And I mean, the way these stocks move around, I mean, that could be easily seen in today's session. But that's what I like for that area. We'll see. I traded pretty good volume in the pre-market and currently down just under 6%, 134.10 for Micron Technology. NVIDIA, we did pretty extensive technicals on that yesterday. That 50% retracement
failed
area.
There in the pre-market.
Yeah, it failed in the pre-market. I know. You couldn't have
never got there in the regular session. I didn't sell any NVIDIA yesterday either. I thought about it. If it was going to be up at 129, open above that, I thought about lightening up the NVIDIA. I did not. I did lighten up some of my other AI trades, though. I lightened up some of my SMCI, which obviously, it's going to trade off of NVIDIA. So I sold some of that at the open. Just looking, I sold half of my AMD. It's just been hanging out too long. I still have a core position that I bought at 92, but I had bought extra shares, remember, at 164. And I'm like, it's hanging out here too long, and it feels like it wants to resolve lower. So I sold 160, just over one. The open yesterday, I think it was around 160. It was the high tick, actually. So I sold half of my AMD. I sold half my SMCI. I actually sold half my AV2 just ahead of
the report.
Yeah, because I just felt like expectations again were too high. So I sold it yesterday. It had a rating. It had a buy rating come out. It opened higher. And I'm like, you know what? We had the 220 down to the 180. You're kind of almost the 50% retracement back up to like 201, 202 yesterday. So same story. I still held the core position, held a core position. But I sold half of it ahead of the report, and obviously happy I did that because the stock's down $11 here, which brings us to that report. You might as well give us that one too, AB, on AeroEnvironment.
Yeah, so AeroEnvironment reported 43 cents EPS, which beat the 21-cent estimate. Sales came in at 190. We'll call it 197 million versus the 188 million dollar estimate. So beat on both EPS and revenue, but then the fiscal year EPS guidance came in below street expectations as well. Lower guidance here. And that's always what's going to, the market's always going to care more about what you're going to do in the next few quarters than what you did in the previous one. So just because they beat on revenue and EPS for the previous quarter, that lower guidance is what's dragging that stock lower this morning.
Yeah. I still like this company. That's why I held the core position. It's just like it went from 120 to 220 in 3 months. Actually, I took almost that entire move because I bought it at 120. I bought it just basically, a few weeks before it started really running. And it was a good one. Had that earnings report, and then it gapped up. Then it came back in, almost closed the gap, and then, so continued to run. The drone company, I think this company is doing a lot of things well. It's a smaller company, but I think it's going to be a core position in my long-term portfolio for a long time. Just had such a move here. So, and I also looking at it, it wasn't quite a double, but it's not a bad idea when your stock doubles to take half the money out and then you're always playing with the house's money. It didn't quite get that far for me, but I just was uncomfortable taking it through the report. I was like, you know what? I'm up like 70% in this thing. I'm going to ring the register on half, and then we'll let half of it ride.
Yes, you heard him right. There was a buy rating, and he sold his stock into a buy rating.
I know that's what I like to do.
You gotta.
I love selling into
Dennis the contrarian.
I love being.
Dennis, I mean, that's an
analysts.
old street. I mean, that stuff we've been.
It took a lot of guts for that analyst to, give a buy rating the day before earnings.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I sell into strength. There may be strength for different reasons, but I've always been that way. And even in my own trading, I sell into strength and I buy into weakness. Usually buying stocks that are trending down. Buying and obviously the opposite. But in this case, I just wanted to ring the register a little bit. That's all. I'm nervous about the overall market. So I actually sold 7 stocks yesterday. So there was quite a few. I sold out of my Oracle as well. So it was kind of like indirectly, selling Nvidia to a certain extent because all these stocks move with Nvidia. But the Oracle chart too, it just looks tired to me, Joel. It looks like a little head and shouldery here. It hasn't been like one of those long-term core holdings. I've had it for my portfolio for about 3 months. It's been a good run, 109 to over 140, and I sold it yesterday, I think around 140, right? Whatever the opening tick was, it was around 140, maybe 139 and a half. So I just, I'm lightening up a little bit here. So I did sell my Oracle as well.
I think this is a really good example here because there's a lot of different technicals that are talked on, our show and different shows and stuff. And what we try and do, besides talking about sports, is keep the technical analysis simple. And there's a couple things here. The warning shots here were fired in AVAV. You always look for that, right? That first red bar. That says, put your head on a swivel. Like there, you got to look. That's a big red bar after big momentum. Well,
yes,
you got the momentum on the second day, right? On the downside, right? And then you got a little bit of a relief pop. And then when you're looking at the Oracle here, not quite the warning shots, but it's a little bit more mellow of a stock, right? But you did hit an all-time high, and then you had 2 red bars in a row. So people were selling in the strength here, selling in the weakness here. And then just going, looking at things from another perspective, like this AMD. I mean, how long can AMD stay in this range? I mean, you had this consolidation here like this, and it resolved to the upside. But look how long this thing is traded between 150 or 140, whatever you want to call it, 170. I mean, and now it's just hanging there. So kind of simple technical patterns to keep an eye
on. Yeah, and that's what I'm just looking is if the AI trade is starting to get tired. Well, AMD hasn't been rallying with the AI trade for the last 2 months. If it starts to get tired, there's a possibility here this stock could be lower. Now, again, I'm not completely out of AMD. I kept the core position that I bought back at 95. But if you remember, I bought at 95. I sold some shares up at 180. And then I rebought the shares that I sold at like 162, basically scalping myself 18 points. Then I'm like, it's just been sitting there on those shares for a good month, and it hasn't been rallying. And AI has been going up, and Nvidia has been going up, and AMD hasn't been participating. So, I just lightened up and sold the shares that I just recently bought like a month ago. Kept the core position that I've got from 93 though. So I'm not saying the AMD trade is over, not saying any of these trades are over. Just saying, I think it's time for a rest, refresher, pause. I think we're going to get better entry points on some of these stocks. But to the point of technicals, let's talk technicals here for a second, or let's just talk rotation here, Joel, because we started the show with rotation. I mean, Micron, Nvidia tiring a little bit yesterday. Look at what goes. It's rotation, mega cap, central, Amazon breaking out to new all-time highs, continues here this morning. Amazon's having a moment here, hit $2 trillion yesterday. And if any company deserves it, it's this one. I haven't sold any Amazon shares. They're obviously, I told you, they're my wife's portfolio. It's the largest holding in her retirement account, which, we're a team here, so it feels like it's the same team. We bought at 107 back, 2 years ago there. It's 194 here now. If it doubles, do you sell half? I don't know. I think Amazon is going to be such a big piece of everything there. And if you really look at the long-term chart here, Joel, I mean, we have been, we were up there at 188, 189. Then we sold off all the way down to $81 back in 2023. We've come back up here, and we've been consolidating at those old 2021 highs for a while here now. And now finally breaking out to new all-time highs. It feels like, we're having Kenny Glick here on in like 20 minutes. And something that I've learned from him is, when they go to 190, they go to 200. So, I mean, it's 194. You think the stock isn't going to 200? I think it's going to 200.
New all-time highs yesterday. Amazon, right? Google, potential double top, but Google looking nice. Apple's just kind of cooling its jets after that just absolutely crazy week a few weeks ago. And Microsoft, new all-time high yesterday. So, whatever you look at, under the hood, I mean, if you're looking at those, and a lot of times that I see this during the day, S&Ps are down, a little bit. Oh, is this going to be a sell-off day? And then you look at those stocks and they're just screaming green at you. And it's just still holding up the market, whether it's narrow breath and you want to complain about it. Well, just hop into narrow breath stocks. I mean, they're looking good. As I said, Microsoft, and then Meta. I mean, look at Meta. Earnings dropped
all the way back.
All the way back. Filled that gap. It didn't even blink after filling that gap.
And then the other one that was moving yesterday, finally getting some love. And I'm surprised it was this day. AB, me and you were a little bit nervous with the Rivian news, but they kick-started Tesla with it too.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, Tesla has headlines all the time, other headlines as well. But there was also a buy rating out there from Stifel yesterday, which I think helped the stock as well. Tesla finally breaks out, goes up over $10 yesterday at one point in time. Pulling back a little bit here this morning, but Tesla looking good. Still have, obviously, a large position in Tesla, planning on holding, trading it from the long side as well. So when it pulls back, I've been buying and trying to flip out. I like it short term. I like it long term. I just love Tesla.
A couple monthly highs to contend with. Let's just call it the 205 area. Bit in the long trading range, right? From between 170 and 190. Broke out of that range. Well, kissed it once, pulled back. Now be important on pullback, so they even let it get to that old support or the old resistance area at 190. 200 psychological, but that's only $5 away for Tesla. I think I also saw something that they got hired from NASA to like rescue the space station or something, or they got a big contract. So a lot of things working for the. I don't know. Oh, it was the SpaceX valuation too. I believe that that came out with just some crazy valuation as well. Of course, SpaceX, Tesla, the other companies that he has, whatever, Starlink. He's got it going, and nice technical breakout yesterday. I hope we helped some people out in the Rivian yesterday. I mean, boy, oh boy. I mean, you see pre-market levels, after hour levels, 1868. What happened in a regular session? You 1633 open, 1635 highs. So when you get those kind of moves in the after hours, you're like, oh man, I want to see this back at 17, 18. There's always a chance it's going to do it. But if it's going to do it, it's going to open up off the open, catch a bid, and go up there. But inundated with sellers, I don't know if you'll get it back down at the $12 level. But nice rip, and people took the profits in Rivian.
Let's go back to the earnings parade,
Yeah.
AB.
I was gonna say, let's bring it back to some of the earnings stocks. So we had a couple. We talked Micron and we talked AV, both trading lower, but pretty good reports. Now let's get to the kind of more disastrous reports here. So we'll
Couple of
start
them.
with Walgreens Boots Alliance, which we've seen this stock. I feel like time and time again, it's the same story after earnings.
Same story always.
Yeah, Walgreens reported EPS of 63 cents, which missed the mark by 8 cents. Revenue of $36.35 billion, which beat by $420 million. But then the company lowered guidance below street expectations. So you already had the EPS miss in there, and then you start lowering guidance below consensus estimates. And again, like I mentioned, it just feels like every time this stock reports earnings, we get a move to the downside like this.
Value trap central. I've had this stock right the whole time. I've been talking bearish about this stock since, I don't know. I feel like I've been talking bearish about the stock for years, like back in the 50s and the 60s. And I've been saying this is eventually
you haven't been
right.
around that, Dennis. You haven't been around that long.
I've been around quite a while, but yeah, the 1960s. But talking about the stock in the 60s, I mean, it was $80 back in 2018. It's 15, 13. This stock is Rite Aid. It's Rite Aid. It's like, and we know Rite Aid went bankrupt. I'm not saying it's going bankrupt, but I'm saying it's like such the same company here. CVS, a little bit more like a little bit different, business, but still, I don't like CVS as well, but Rite Aid is just an epic disaster. Everybody's, talking about, not everybody, but people who are in the stock are talking about the value, the dividend. Well, they've already cut the dividend once, and now you get earnings guidance coming down here. And at one point in time, we get to a point where the stock actually starts losing money because, it's still making $2.80. He's like, it's 5 times earnings. How can you go wrong? But the dang thing just keeps on going lower. It has been an epic disaster. 2 things I've gotten right in the last little while has been NVIDIA on the long side and Walgreens. I wish I would have been short, but I don't short my long-term portfolio. But every time this thing pops up, it's just another selling opportunity. I'm so glad never touched this thing from the long side.
Is it a new all-time low here? 1282 is what you just hit in the last bracket. Let's go to this chart. 1282. Yeah, I think this is a new all-time low. Going back, at least maybe it was lower. My charts are going back to 0405. But with that being said, let's see if you catch a bid above the pre-market low, 1282. Last bracket, it went to 1285. Much better place to try and cover a short, perhaps, than initiate a long. Or if you happen to take some of those puts into this, maybe. It just seems like these big thicks. It's traded pretty good volume. So you have some puking on the open. But keep an eye. Pre-market low, all-time low, 1283 in Walgreens.
Do technicals on CVS here too, because the stock that's going to be down in sympathy. Not as bad of a story here, and it's a little bit, like I said, a little bit different business, but at the same time, you see CVS and Walgreens, it feels like on every corner. And CVS has been a dog too, not as doggy and not as, full of fleas as Walgreens, but 2018 this was $60. Today it's $60. So 6 years later, after one of the best bull runs we've seen in our lifetime here in the last 6 years, you've got CVS down.
If you think that this move off the May low was the move of moves, and you got to be in this stock, and you're looking for a pullback here, the 5750 area would be the 50% retracement. You also have a daily low at 5582. A little bit more diversified of a company, right? Who did they buy? They bought
Aetna.
Yeah, they bought Aetna. So But still, just overall long-term performance. 2022 over 110. Now it.
I mean, that's what saved the business is a health insurance. Like you just think about like Walgreens, none of that. I mean, if they didn't have the health insurance side, and think about how your health insurers have done over the course of the last 6 to 7 years. I mean, UNH has went from 200 to 500. So you think if Aetna was still, and I don't know what year would that merger?
That was a while ago.
I know, but what I'm arguing is CVS. It was in 2018. I'm arguing if Aetna was still a publicly traded company, it's probably worth twice as much as it was. So you could argue that CVS is basically Walgreens with Aetna, and Aetna is what has saved this business. What has saved CVS from being Walgreens? Because obviously CVS is flat over the last 6 years. I would say Aetna inside it has probably doubled in value. And then, the CVS core business, which is what we're Walgreens, would look the same. So if CVS wouldn't have did that Aetna deal, this chart would look a lot like Walgreens. But, good for them. They diversify themselves into health insurance. Aetna was the savior here for CVS.
It still looks a lot like the Walgreens.
It still doesn't look good. And Aetna would have probably doubled. It was a $69 billion merger back in the day. And obviously, you just look. You can look at all the health insurance companies. They're all up significantly for 2018. So I don't think it's much of a stretch to say that Aetna would probably be worth twice as much as it was over the last 6 years. So if you've got that core business inside it doubling, it's telling you how bad the other businesses are. So, and Walgreens is just CVS without Aetna. I'll say it. That's what I'll call it.
Okay.
And you don't want to be full on corner store or drugstore right now because they're just not doing well.
What do they have? What do they call it in Canada? Good Rexall XRX or something like that?
Well, they have Rexall and they have Shoppers. Shoppers is the big one in Canada. Shoppers Drug Mart.
All right, it's 8:28 and 30 seconds, Dennis, and I don't know if you really
go wide here or what?
Well, durable good orders for May, GDP growth rate final, jobless claims. Retail wholesale inventories, AB. Yeah, you got a preview for some of those, which could be meaningful or meaningless numbers.
Yeah, give me one sec. I think right now, I mean, the GDP revision number, I would assume, would be, probably the biggest, I think, coming in here, but also the initial jobless claims. So for initial jobless claims, the median forecast is 235,000. The GDP revision, we're looking for 1.4% growth in Q1 of 2024. For durable goods orders, the consensus estimate is -1%, so a loss of 1%. The previous was a positive 0.6%. And then pending home sales is expected to go down 0.4%. So we're looking for some mixed economic data across the board. Again, the expectation for GDP is for the economy to have grown 1.4% in the first quarter. So those are the numbers we will be looking for. And we are close here to 8:30 when we will get these numbers and see how.
Looks like they're going to rally IWM on it.
IWM. Okay.
I feel like they're going to rally the TLT now. I don't know. I'm guessing. This is a guess. Maybe it's not.
Well, it has to be light. Or wait, it has to be. Is good news bad news? Or bad news good news?
TLT rallying a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Slight rally. Slight. So slight.
Still waiting for these numbers to come through.
Elbow really jumpers.
TLT popped the flat and then just sold right back off.
All right, for GDP, we got 1.4%, so that came in line with those expectations. Durable goods orders came in at a positive 0.1%, 0.1% versus the negative 0.5% expectation. So durable goods orders comes in hot. Initial jobless claims comes in at 233,000 versus 236,000. So pretty much in line there. U.S. core, looks like we got some PCE prices as well. Came in 3.7% versus 3.6% estimated. So pretty much across the board in line with expectations. You did have that. You did have that durable goods order come in slightly hot, as well as that U.S. core PCE prices.
Chop. I mean, we have a chop. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to get rid of this shorter term chart. I'll just go to a 5-minute chart here, and we had that range. Important to go green here. You had your high at 30, so we're trading near the highs of the session. You got to remember, we closed at 43 and a quarter, and then Micron spooked us, and so we haven't seen the close yet. So you got to respect that close at 43 and a quarter. That's 5 handles away, but just still a tug of war. We're actually just about 2 handles above where 1.5, 36 and a quarter is where we're at. So still indecision here. Oh, little pop. Now we're going for green here, taking TLT flat now on the session. So think on the upside, 43 and a quarter. That's your closing price. That will get you even on your mark in the S&Ps. But so far,
I mean, could you really you get 3 economic data points and GDP is right in line at 1.4 versus 1.4. Jobless claims are 233 versus 235. I mean, that's as close to getting in line on a number that big. And then you get PCE slight tick higher, 0.1%, but these are in line, in line, in line. Market doesn't know what to do with it. The high freaks are like, well, what do we do with that? We're hot, we're not, we don't know what to do. So they're just chopping us all up. The freaks are out, the high freaks.
No, well, they're catching a bid now. I guess this news, stable news, is good news, and looks like we are journeying our way up to that close from yesterday at 43 and a quarter. TLT still kind of flat, so so far, man. Like I said, the headline for the show: chopping but not dropping.
That was a
And,
good call, Joel, for this morning. I mean, it almost like you predicted this morning. I mean, with the moves we're getting right now, but that's how we've been the past couple of days, is chopping. But the overall market hasn't really dropped that much. I saw some data the other day. It was from someone on Twitter. It might have been even our resident stat man, Ryan Dietrich, but that this is the longest we've gone without like a more than 2% drop in the S&P 500 in a day. And that like basically that the volatility right now, at least to the downside, just hasn't really been there. But that, they were showing some charts that basically said we're kind of due for a pullback like that, where you do get that drop, but it seems like we're not, it doesn't look like it's going to be today, at least not for now. All right. Should we go through?
Grab Kenny.
Okay, let's grab Kenny. We got Kenny Glick hanging out backstage, one of our favorite guests. Always a fun time with Kenny. So without further ado, let's go ahead and welcome the Warlock on Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep.
Good morning, Kenny Glick, better known as the Warlock, founder of HitTheBid.com. Kenny, I was trying to think yesterday because we were going through all the SPACs and everything, and of course, when you look at SPACs on Wikipedia, there's a picture of Kenny Glick in there. What was the stock? It ended up changing its name. It had a big run. Was it the original Workhorse, or do you remember
Workhorse is back? Is what he's asking.
What was there was a stock that you started talking? Can you remember? You talk about so many stocks.
No, I remember. He was no. It was it was Nikola. It was Nikola. It was the one. It was the SPAC that was Nikola. Remember?
Oh, the original SPAC. The original SPAC was Space, and then Nikola.
What was Nikola's symbol though when it was a SPAC? We're throwing you under the bus here. I forget. And you used to trade it. You made a lot of money on it. What was the symbol?
I actually don't remember now. And I'm glad
you were all over that one. You can't remember the symbol.
That's so funny. The funny thing is that stock just did a reverse split, and it came back into the conversation just a couple of days ago because Space and Nikola did reverse splits, and we started shorting them again. So, yeah, those are back.
What the heck was it? Chad, help us out. What the hell was the Nikola SPAC symbol?
It had a B in it.
Yeah, I remember.
VTIQ, is that it? Was that it? VTIQ? Rob Hood says it's VTIQ. I think so. It's still not ringing a bell. Man, we're getting old.
Yeah, it was VTIQ, I think.
VTIQ.
Yeah.
So I was just going to say it had a V in it, right?
Yeah,
right? So.
Yeah. I thought you were referring to Carvana when I was on the show begging people to buy it at 750 with a 96 to 120 target.
Yeah, that one pretty good too.
Which is why I don't really trade too much anymore. How you doing?
Are you in Carvana again? Are you back?
No, I cashed out. We had some leaps on it. It was an awesome trade. I'm back to being a day trader. I have 0 positions on except
0
long the Qs and short UVXY. Back to the old standards. So. I just short the volatility product every time it reverse splits. Speaking of reverse splits, those are just, they're easy shorts. Lately, I mean, this is, again, I say this most of the time when I'm on the show. This is the most reminiscent to 1999, 98 to 2000. I didn't think these days would come back ever. It's awesome. So it's just like we're back to being just traders. There's so much activity on a daily basis that I don't see reasons to take overnight risk, except if you're just going to stay along the queues. And you just pointed out, we just don't go down anymore. So economic data, who cares? It doesn't. Nothing matters. The day that when Iran and Israel were shooting rockets back and forth at each other, and we didn't go down that day, I was like, you know what? I'm just never going to short anything ever again. That was the day. That was the night I was sitting cowering and wondering if we were going to be lock limit down. I wasn't going to get a chance to short anything. And the next day, nobody cared. Nobody cares about anything. So they care when the volatility products wake up and they actually start to trend higher. When people start to care and we start breaking prior day lows, then maybe I'll start shorting. But right now, it's beyond buy the dip. It's just we just don't go down. I mean, it's almost comical, but the QQQ daily options are a godsend because every morning dip is going to be bought, and you could trade now this $500 ETF for pennies on the dollar, and that's kind of what we do every day. And then there's a few earnings reports, and the small cap stocks are always ripping all over the place. Yesterday we had one. Get this symbol, AIEV. It's like they invented the symbol. Here, go get this one. No one even heard
anything with AI in it. If you're coming out with a stock, put an AI in it.
Yeah, put an AI. Let's throw an EV on there also, just for fun. And the stock exploded. We had some fun with it. I didn't short it on the way back down, but generally there's like 7 or 8 pump and dumps every morning, and every once in a while they remain pumpy and then they dump, but generally they pump and then they dump and they go away, and we find 5 new ones the next day. It's amazing how many are out there.
Well, all social media is just pumping your own stocks and all these small crap, small cap, but I call them small crap.
Right.
I mean, it's just everywhere. It's CNBC. I don't know if you've seen these commercials, but they have these commercials with these small little ticker symbols.
Right.
And it's like, and it's constant. Like NXL is on there, and it's like, this is the next one. If you look at all the charts on these things, they're all just like death marches down, but they get these little pops off these CNBCs. So obviously these are paid promotions. The CNBC is a full participator in these pump and dumps here now. I don't understand what the regulators are doing. Everything is just, and it's one thing, we come in here, we all talk our book, but I'm buying stocks like Amazon, and Nvidia here. This is CNBC are selling commercials for some small cap speculative couple $1 million company here. I don't understand why regulators are allowing this, to be honest with you.
And then they go after Roaring Kitty, who's basically doing the same thing, but they want to make a spectacle about this guy. But it's the same exact thing. At least he's not running commercials on CNBC trying to. And it's like you fall into this trap. Like, hey, what is this? What? This is so well made. Let me. Am I interested? And then you see the stock's got 9 shares on the volume. So you're like, I don't want to go near that one.
They're small stocks. Like I had a whole list of them. Like I was just rating down, and I'm like, these things are small. And actually, some of them can be fun to trade because they're so dang thin. But I mean, I don't understand like what we've come to. When every other commercial. And are you seeing the same commercials? You see them too, Kenny?
Oh yeah, of course. And they're doing a poor job because those stocks really don't get any traction.
No, I know. Who's paying for these? Because they don't go up.
Right. They don't move. They don't move. The volume doesn't really change. And I started to watch them, and I was like, you know what? They're not doing a good job. I'm just going to go back to, I just pick them off the percentage gain scanners with high volume. There's a large influx of volume. You want the volume because then there's less chance of it being completely manipulated. Some of these stocks, you got so little volume that they just open the spread. If you're trying to use stops, the spread gets you, so you can't even trade them. But again, each morning, for instance, Cassie Pharmaceuticals, the kids are all about that one this morning. I don't know what it is, but I'll keep an eye on it today.
And you just see these in your volume movers, eh? Is that what you see? Like what's going up, and you're just watching.
What's the symbol on that one, Danny?
Right. You got Cassie today. You got Virgil, VGIL. I think that one had some volume on it. But like I said, these stocks are around every day. So here, for instance, CASI, never heard of it.
I got it. Yep, I got it.
PIGL, never heard of it. Every once in a while, one that we traded gets pumped again, like Kayla. We always give him a nickname, KALA. And then 3 days from now, you don't even remember what you traded. It's like talking about a SPAC from 5 years ago. I don't even know what I traded yesterday. So, I mean, I do know what I traded yesterday. It was the Trump stock because, again, when it wakes up, it's pretty damn good to trade. And, if you get a short off on that one, I trade that stock almost every day. And we traded, the stocks that are in the news. You had the FedEx, we played the fade, a little bounce on it. And that's your day. So I just stay focused. The morning session is usually these small cap stocks, these weird names. And then I go right back to the stories at hand, like Walgreens today and Micron. And that's where I'll probably stay focused. And of course, the Qs, they never go down, and I short UVXY. It's really the same day over and over again. I feel like Bill Murray's going to show up any day and just
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, exactly.
Like maybe one of the best actors of all time.
Well, Kenny, you mentioned that this market reminds you of 98, 99. I wasn't trading back then, but from what I understand, there was a big drawdown at some point in the tech market. And to your point, I mentioned this stat earlier, to your point about the market not going down right now. This is from Bespoke. Longest, if we go to July 17th without a 2% drop in the S&P 500, this would be the longest streak since we went 949 trading days without a 2% drop in the S&P 500. And that was for 4 years from 2003 to 2007.
Those are my worst trading years.
I was going to say I was short the whole time.
2004 to 2000. If I could look at my sheets of all my years, those are my worst trading years. I knew I suck in bull markets.
So
I always liked the bear markets better. My best trading years, best day trading years were 2001, 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2020. Those are my best years if I look at my sheets. Why? Because when you get on the right side of the short side, the money comes in fast.
Yeah, but now you can't stay short for more than I've actually started to time it.
Dangerous.
If you can get past 7 minutes, you get to maybe 14 minutes. If you get past 14 minutes, oh, shit is on then. Come on. But Aaron, you had a question. What were you going to say? Something
Well,
about
I was just going to say, I mean, I know you're watching a lot of these individual stocks and the smaller names, but in terms of the overall market, what do you think would need to happen to see a drawdown like we saw in the dot-com bubble, or, for essentially for volatility to come back? I mean, for us to see the S&P go down 2% plus in a day, what needs to happen?
Well, it's definitely not a news event. It's going to be just real selling. Like I said, just right now, one of the first lessons I learned about trading was momentum. If the stock breaks the prior day high, buy it. I mean, we're buying DoubleClick and iOmega and Netscape. And basically, if they announced a 10-for-1 split, the stock would go up tenfold. That's the kind of market you were in. So all you were doing was buying the prior day high. Give me a market that breaks prior day low. And there's your answer. If we could ever break down under a prior day low and then break that prior day low, my God, we might have momentum to the downside, and selling begets selling. And then the media will come up with some name for it. Asia contagion, blah, 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 something
Markets
else.
in turmoil special on CNBC.
Right, exactly. Well, the market in turmoil, that's when it starts to go back up, of course. Well, the
markets are always last.
Right. Yeah. So let's see some momentum to the downside, and then we'll have something to talk about. But right now, it's just nobody wants to get out of the big names. When Nvidia broke 800, somebody said, "Are you still buying this?" I'm like, "Of course, it's going to 1200." And then they're going to announce a 50-to-1 split, and they announced a 10-for-1 split, and they said, "Are you going to sell it into the split?" Why? People are going to want to buy it on Monday when it opens at 120 because they couldn't afford it at 1200. So that's the market we're in. If everybody wants something, just like when Tesla was going up 20 points a day, it wasn't about the cars anymore. It was about wanting to own something. Everybody wants it. You have no way to value it based on fundamental analysis. And again, I haven't believed in fundamental analysis in quite some time. I'm a jaded ex-stockbroker who came from the worst of the worst. And then you look at a stock like Alibaba, which according to them, they make more money than some countries, yet nobody cares about the stock. So it sits there and does nothing but go down because nobody wants to own it. If people wanted to own this stock, and if they based on a valuation, it'd be a $400 or $500 stock, according to them, of course. And I don't trust any Chinese stocks. So, but that's where we're at. So that's why I said I'm right back to that. Just show me what you got today, market, and I'm going to participate. And then by 11:30, I'm going to play pickleball.
Ooh, you're a big pickleballer?
Yeah. I'm proud to say I'm like the grandfather of the sport at this point. I was playing 5 years ago, and really it was nobody. Now I can't get on the court because Gladys and Cheryl are kicking my ass. These 82-year-old women are schooling me. I'm like a 52-year-old guy, and they're running me back and forth. I wish I could stay in shape like some of these women I play on the courts by my house. Amazing.
I started playing a little bit up here in Michigan. I grew up playing tennis, so I'm
Yeah.
decent. I'm like a 4-5 around right now.
Oh, cool.
We'll have to play sometime, Kenny. What about DJT? It seems like a stock you might be trading. Are you in and out of that, or
Yeah, yesterday, you know what it is? It just trades on extremes. You know, everybody gets super bearish when it's going down. It's like, oh, everybody's Trump this, scam that, and worthless stock, DJT. Bad symbol, by the way. You already had one that went to zero at DJT. But
if at first you don't succeed, try
it
again.
Yeah. The only guy that had casinos going out of business while they were all booming. Anyway, but when this bearishness gets overdone, just go read the message boards. When they're calling for it to go to zero after it's already fallen for 30 or 40 points, I just look for the turn. And yesterday you had this turn out of nowhere around $30. And then, it was about 33, 33, 34. And then when it broke 36, you're over the VWAP. Bang, we're in, and you got a 2-3 pointer out of it.
You know why this is rallying? Debate tonight.
Yeah, the debate. You're gonna watch
There's a catalyst here, and I think the DJT's had a 3-day run ahead of the debate. Now, again, we know it's like an event, so I would say this is like an earnings event here tonight. Trump, versus Biden. So I don't know if I'd want to hold it into the event tonight. Yeah. But if you bought this thing 3 days ago, saying, "Well, the debate's coming," people will be talking about Trump. They're all excited. Those Trump supporters are all excited. I don't think it's coincidence. This thing's went from 30 to 40, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day before the debate.
I agree.
This is your classic pre-earnings run. It's classic pre-debate run.
Love it. And I'm watching WBA. And again, my default when I see a stock that's getting hammered is I look for it to make a turn and maybe catch a long. This one looks real ugly. So there's been no reason to buy this one so far. It had one little attempt to rally, back above the 13. And now that it's rolled over, if this thing doesn't get over 13 and a half, you may never see it over 13 and a half again. So, again,
you got to see the bits on this thing. Like, there's just value money managers just backing up the truck. I mean, I'm looking, because it hasn't been down here. 1257, 140,000 to buy. 1258, 50,000 to buy. 1259. This is right now in the pre-market. These bids are active and live in the pre-market. Somebody's trying to buy like 250,000 shares down here in the 1260. Maybe this is the bounce area. Remember, you used to lean on bids back in the day. Remember, they used to back in the day.
1250 is a massive number. Obviously, 10, 12, 50, 15. So if it holds, again, this is where the scalper.
It's going to bounce.
Yeah, if you hold,
they're short. I mean, if you're short a zillion, why not put that out?
They're not short.
Right.
They're not short. You think everybody? This is just value money managers like, oh yeah, we're gonna begin Walgreens 8% dividend here, backing up the truck. Oh, it'll be okay. They said that at 22, and then they cut the dividend. 12.
Yeah, I see the bids too. They're hitting the bids right.
They're hitting them. There's major sellers when you get 200,000 on the bid, and then he gets them.
Yeah.
And then they get hit.
Yeah.
Did they take the whole bid? Take the whole bid?
They just took out a bunch of them right now. You can see those bids there. Can we show that? I don't know if we can show that.
I'll give you a throwback. The guy at 5/8 is pretty big. Right there.
0.625, right?
Right. The 5/8 guy. But I'll try to scalp it probably at one point. Again, if it holds the 1250, that's significant.
Let's try it.
Algos love the half numbers and the 1250s. Yeah, they're making a stand right here. Well, you said the bids hang in there. So
live day trading.
That's where I'm at. I just look for the activity. Obviously, MU and Nvidia will be in play again. And, maybe the Qs go down for 7 minutes. Those 7 minutes are really all a day trader needs. 7 minutes in heaven. Where are you, Jennifer? Remember that closet where we did nothing but look at each other? Anyway, 7 minutes in heaven. That's all you get.
7-minute abs.
Yep. 7-minute abs. What about 6-minute abs?
You can't do abs in 6 minutes. You wouldn't even break a sweat.
Dennis, didn't you do that
movie
program?
talk happening?
Didn't you do that program, Dennis? Were you on
7-minute abs? 6-minute abs?
For about 6 days or something like that? Did you try that?
No, that's with Buddy there. Oh man, I'm getting old. I don't remember anything. I can't remember the SPAC symbols. Can't remember the Beachbody. You know, like that thing. I'd go through that like, oh yeah, 90 days Beachbody. I get to like day 12, and I'm like, yeah, back down the couch eating chips.
Yeah, but,
I haven't even said the word SPAC out loud in a very long time. How's that Chamath guy doing, right? Is he still bringing them out and killing people? Every one of those, they're all gone now. Right?
He was good at like bringing out the SPACs and then just raking it all in. So.
Yeah, here, let me feed you some more crap. Yeah, it's awful.
More crap, and give me your real money for this crap.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Kenny, before we let you go,
Yeah,
I don't know. I can't remember if you activate Bitcoin at all. A little bit of a sell-off here. What's the momentum? What are you feeling? Do you have a alternate coin that you like to follow? Just haven't been talking. Kind of a quiet sell-off here from the 75K level. Any thoughts on Bitcoin?
I'm an early adopter, so I've been in a kid from Canada. You know, he was in from $300 Bitcoin, and he tried to convince me for years to buy it. And again, the story was, now looking back, all you heard about Bitcoin was that you had the Silk Road, you could buy illegal drugs and hire a hitman, and they take Bitcoin. I was like, oh, what the hell was I thinking? If the drug dealers and the hitmen are into it, why didn't I buy it? But I got in early. 88. I'm in at 8,800. I've never traded it. I still have the original purchase. I was like in a donut shop. I was like, so what's Ripple? I love the Grateful Dead. Let me get some Ripple. Let me get some Tron. I love Jeff Bridges. Let me get this doggy coin over here. I just got a dog, and I'm still in the same names.
That's what I call it, doggy coin.
Yeah, I bought Algo X because it has the word algo in it. So I bought Algo X, and I don't even look. I threw them in the Kraken. I threw them in the Coinbase account. I don't even look at the stuff. I just hope. I have a friend that sold out of his hedge fund, and all he does is Bitcoin. And he's a guy I truly respect, and I love this guy. And he explained to me why this thing's going to $250,000 at least. And he convinced me. I was like, you know what? I'm in. I'm not selling it. So I'm
You're a hodler.
$250,000 for Bitcoin. I'm in the camp now. So maybe Kathy Wood will get something right. What does she say? 2 million, 3 million, 50 million?
Yeah, she's got the Tesla bearish price target for Tesla's $2,000 a share. That's her bear case. So in a worst case scenario, Tesla's going to go up tenfold. In the best case scenario, it's going to take over the entire world.
Yeah, I kind of agree. But let's talk about, before I go, I want to talk about, I saw you commenting about Tom Lee. I want to take it up a notch. Tom Lee's calling for what, 18%? I'm going to call for 30% a year for the next 5 years. So when I'm right, can we circle back to this conversation?
Yeah.
Because look, I like the guy, and I'm glad he's very convinced in his bullishness, and he's the only one that stayed consistent. But wow, you're calling for a bull market to last. Wow, so sick. So sick.
They call him the guru. He just knows everything. So my shout out, while I was tweeting yesterday, because it was driving me nuts. He called for Bitcoin 100,000 by the end of 2021.
Right.
So Bitcoin went up to 60,000. Then it tanked to 15,000. He lowers his price target to 55,000, and then it hits it the next year.
Right.
And they're on here saying he called it. I'm like, no, he didn't.
Right.
He called it wrong. And then he lowered his price target, and then it got back to his lower price target, and they said he called it. Right. I mean, it's ridiculous. So it's not one thing Tom Lee got it wrong, whatever, but CNBC just tooting his horn so much. I mean, it's sickening, really.
He deserves most of the credit. Kathy Wood needs to be excommunicated from the industry at this point.
Well, Jesus burned everybody's money.
He's a bad day trader with a rich
day trader too.
That's all she is. I had a guy that used to hit the kid next to me back in '99. His father was a billionaire ginseng farmer from South Korea. And I just watched the kid just lose 50 grand a day. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, my dad will take care of it. I'm like, how about your dad gives me the money? How about your dad gives me the money? I can actually make money instead of watching you hemorrhage this cash. That's Kathy Wood. She's got a rich uncle somewhere just spoon feeding her the money so she can.
It's the public. It's the public.
It's absolutely crazy. But all kidding aside, I put a call spread on for the furthest out. This is the one position I have on. I know it might sound crazy now, but when I told people to buy Carvana at $750 with a $120 target, that sounded insane also. I'm with Tom Lee. I think we just keep going up. I don't see any reason not to. So I'm in December 2026 call spreads. I got the 557.15 call spread on the Qs. I think we'll be 800 by then. And the way this market goes, every time we pull back, we go up 3 weeks to 3 months to 3 years. So I'm not going to fight it anymore. And back to that question Aaron said, when the market starts going down, then we'll start selling and short.
We'll know, right?
Well,
Start taking out those daily lows.
I said
Yeah,
if, because at this point it doesn't necessarily look like it really ever will have that big drawdown again. Kenny, before we got to let you go, we're running out of time here. But have you been to the Sphere yet? You said you like the dead. I think we'd get along. You like the dead and pickleball. We could throw some dead on. And
oh my God! I spent a week in Vegas. I went to see U2 on Tuesday. I raved for 2 days, slept for 2 days, and I went to the Super Bowl on Sunday. So I'm still not really recovered from that trip. I'm going back next week. I'm going 4th of July week with my 21-year-old son to go see the
Oh, you guys are gonna have a blast. I went a couple weeks ago at the end of May, and it was an incredible show, incredible venue.
I can't
which,
wait.
by the way, that stock seems like it also could be up your alley, the SPHR. So if you like the show enough, maybe that could be your catalyst to get in the stock. But Kenny, as always, thanks for joining us on.
Good seeing you guys. Good luck, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Kenny Glick.
Thanks, Kenny.
All right, folks, we got a short report out here.
Hims.
On Hims.
Yes.
Hims. So this was about their GLP-1 drugs. The short report. Let me get the actual. Was this Fuzzy Panda?
Oh yeah,
No,
that's what everyone's asking.
I don't think so. I'm trying to figure out who it is actually.
I mean, they're saying that this. I feel like I don't know. Let me get the actual report up here. But they're saying that basically the drugs they're selling, the GLP-1s, aren't legitimate or regulated or whatever. But I feel like Hims is too big of a company to just be throwing out some counterfeit. All right, so the short report's from Hunter Brook, issued a short report.
This is a new one? I don't know Hunter Brook.
Hunter Brook.
Man,
this might be the. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say the activist shorts are coming from everywhere here. I don't know this company.
Hunter Brook. So Hunter Brook is a new. So Hunter Brook, what Hunter Brook is it's like a hybrid between an analyst, research, and then media. So they put out like the articles themselves, and they're kind of trying to operate in this intersection. Combo. Yeah, this intersection of like financial media. So it's like CNBC meets Fuzzy Panda, and they're actually and actually their first one that they put out was on UMWC, the Michigan Mortgage Company. So I'm familiar with this company because I wrote about that when they did that one.
Okay.
But it's weird. They're basically trying to be a news outlet, but what they've done is they pay people to go do the report for them. So they try to like have a hands off. So they say like, oh, it wasn't us doing the report. We just helped commission it essentially. And then these are their findings. But basically saying obesity doctor called GLP-1 knockoffs, the largest uncontrolled, unconsented human experiment of our lifetime. And they're talking about that this basically is that they're basically doing GLP-1 knockoffs. It's not Mounjaro. It's not Ozempic. It's not Wegovy. And I don't know. I mean, I'm just looking at it for the first time right now, so I don't have that much more information than that. But that's what the basis of this short report is.
I've got the new strategy of just buying the falls on these short reports here, and it worked very well for me on GL. By the way, I am fully out of my GL here now. I bought that back at 58 and 60, and I sold and just in the in the 80s there, and I'm fully out of that one now. It was a good one. Thank you, Fuzzy Panda. I don't know if I have the guts to do it on him.
A little bit different.
Yeah, this isn't like a company that's just
around.
Yeah, like and I haven't read the report or anything like that either. So I do think there's opportunities here if you can find the reports. Like obviously some of these in Citron, we've had Andrew Left on here for years. He's made some good calls, man. Like Plug Power was on his back in the day. Like I mean, Citron's done some research and made obviously there's been some that haven't worked out for him too. But I mean I don't know. I don't know this company, so obviously Hunter Brook, and I don't really follow Hims and Hers enough to really say I'm going to come in here confidently and buy this initial dip.
All right, for Hims here, a lot of times the company comes out and responds, so you'll wait for that. It's just had a huge run, right? So trading down 18 and a quarter, you're right here. You're really in no man's land. It's $16. That's another 230 away. You have multiple lows on the gap up when that initial news came. But with the GL was, it gave you 1 day, and I just don't know if the same kind of stock, GL is established company, Fuzzy Panda going after it. So I think Hims, if there's going to be a buy the dip, it just might not. Like today, tomorrow, couple days, maybe you want to look at it, but we'll see how the company responds to it.
There you go. I do think we missed Levi's earnings. Basically, blue jeans, red stock. That's all you need to know. Trading down today after some weak numbers
Oh,
from Levi's. Other than that, I think we hit all the big headlines we were supposed to today, and it is 9:01.
Well, we didn't actually. We didn't talk the bank stress test,
No,
which
we
is
did
a
not.
you're
huge
right.
one here.
You're right.
And you have banks going some down, some up. Citigroup's trading up. Goldman's trading down. They all beat. And all you need to know is what I'm written down here on my sheet of paper is they all, you know, they didn't, it's not a matter of beat, miss, but, you know, they're all okay. So they all were fine. They all passed the stress tests. The capital, you know, returns can come. So obviously dividends and buybacks can come as early as Friday night. So Friday after the close. So I do think that the banks, I probably want to be long some of the banks maybe into the weekend. Obviously, we have a Russell rebalance happening tomorrow too, so that throws a little bit of a wrench in it all because you get some wild closes. But I do think that there's an opportunity here for being long some of these banks into the Friday night, maybe Monday night. Maybe we start seeing some buybacks in this market that prices in nothing because it is stupid. I think they'll pop if they announce some buybacks. So
Yeah, the announcement, not
Friday
the
night.
actual. Right.
Yeah, the stress test is just now they've passed. They haven't announced, but now apparently Friday night is the first day they can start announcing official like capital returns, which would be in the form of a buyback or dividend increase. So on my radar would be JP Morgan, Citigroup. I think those are logical ones that could potentially have buybacks announced after Friday. I don't know if it's going to happen Friday night. It's the first day they can do it. Are they going to come out Friday night and do it? Are they going to wait till Monday? But I think being long after Friday night may not be a bad call in some of these banks.
When is the last time JP Morgan has done a buyback? I don't remember for the longest time. Well, maybe not here. Yeah, they have been doing it. Yeah, since May. Not like a monster one, but no, that's something to keep an eye on. The catalyst, they'll be able to announce it. So if you're in Friday, or you know, if you're keeping an eye on the news over the weekend and you want to get up at 4 a.m., that's a potential opportunity there. All right. Well, all the numbers, everything we got, all the data, Micron, we're just basically flat here in the S&Ps. We've come all the way back. We're a 1.5 from that closing price. So market shrugging off the Micron. Walgreens continues to deteriorate here. So let's get green and stay green. All-time closing high price in the S&Ps is only about 20 handles away. We would need to close over 55.60s. So fun show today. Aaron, anything else you want to?
Well, yeah, one last thing. We have a request in the chat. Do you mind wishing Juliana a happy birthday?
Juliana, should we sing happy birthday?
No, I'm not singing.
Well, you can sing happy birthday. I'm not good at singing.
Yeah, do a solo.
I'm really bad at singing. Like
Julianne,
I would be like the anti-American Idol.
Happy birthday. It's a great day, June 27th. Therapy Rob, you better be nice to her. But happy birthday from Joel, Dennis, pre-market prep crew.
And thanks for
everyone
being
at
listeners
Benzinga.
too.
Yep. And our
Thanks for being
hundreds of
listeners, too.
thousands of listeners out there are all wishing you a happy birthday.
There you have it. All right, we'll be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Be there or be square. Hope everyone stays green today. Thank you to Kenny Glick, the Warlock, for joining us today. We will see you guys tomorrow morning.